I'm so glad you could join me. Today, I thought we could take a look at this magazine. Birds and blooms. Extra. Beauty in your backyard and beyond. We have owls. 13 surprising facts about these majestic flyers. Dig in. How to plant alliums now for blooms later. Lookalikes. See commonly mistaken birds side by side. 20 houseplants for low light. Nature field guides we love. And this is America's #1 bird and garden magazine. This is from November Extra 2021, and it was $4.99. So here we have some of the birds that we'll see on page 38. We're going to compare similar birds. On page 26, we have Wise Up on Owls. 34, we have The Allure of Alliums. And page 38, we have Mistaken Identities. And then there are other things included as well. Is that what I think it is? This is from senior editor Rachel Madel. I wasn't expecting to experience one of the birding highlights of my life as I sat around a campfire in a busy state park at dusk. But then I saw something just out of the corner of my eye gently fall onto the top of my little camper, and I heard a soft plop. I nearly jumped out of my seat. Not even 30 feet away, a barred owl sat contently on the camper's roof, taking in the scene. I could see every detail of its bright eyes and namesake striped chest. While that was easily my most exhilarating owl sighting, it can be just as extraordinary to see these raptors through a pair of binoculars or at a research center. Look at these beautiful flowers. Tangerine. Blooms. Create a vivid landscape with these orange flowers by Eva Monheim. Those are lovely, aren't they? With these orange petals alternating with yellow and orange speckled flower petals. And then the orange and yellow stamens in the middle. The leaves are rather dark green. A little bit of maybe red or purple along the edges. Number 1 are Indian summer Peruvian lilies, and they can grow in zones 6 to 9. Number 2 are Flame of the Woods, and these are smaller petals grouped in a palm-like presentation for zones 9 to 10. And I know that a lot of the zones in the U.S. have actually recently been redone, so the zone area that you were in before may have moved north a little bit because of the change bit in different places. Butterfly weed, 3 to 9, and I believe this is part of the milkweed family, which is good for monarchs. Monarch butterflies, bees, and other pollinators love this member of the milkweed family. Orange nugget dahlia. I haven't grown any dahlias yet. I should do that. I have to remember to plant the bulbs in the fall. It's beautiful. Here is a freckle-faced blackberry lily. It reminds me of like what you would draw a flower to look like when you're young. It's for zones 4 to 10. It's pretty. Here we have hanging lilies. They face downward off the stem. And this is a coral lily for zones 3 to 8. Then we have the orange king zinnia. These are annuals in our area, native to Mexico. Here we have an article, Become a Cool Compost Pro. Follow these tips to keep your pile active even through winter. Let's see, we have create a good base. So make a pile using the ratio of 4 parts brown material, such as straw, leaves, or shredded newspaper, to 1 part green, which could include kitchen scraps, coffee grounds, and tea bags. Layer the materials and toss in compost from a friend or a few shovels worth of soil to introduce more beneficial microbes. Add sticks, corn cobs, and other bulky materials to increase circulation. Stay grounded. It says some people put them on raised platforms, but there's no need. You can just leave it on the ground. Go big. Aim for at least a 3 by 3 by 3 foot pile at minimum. The bigger the better, and you get more heat. Provide water and shelter. So keeping it moist helps things to decompose faster, and leaving it in the shade allows microorganisms to work and not be killed by the sunlight. Add kitchen scraps to enhance your mix and reduce the amount of waste going to a landfill. Now here we have low light all stars. Houseplants that thrive in a variety of dim locations. Palisades. Steve Henderson, Coleman, Michigan. Yeah, blue jays will let you know when they're there. I find them to be quite loud and comical to a certain extent. They'll run off other birds when they want to be on the bird feeder, things like that. Here we have a robin with its dark brown head and back and wings, and its robin redbreast, that orange rust or copper colored belly and chest, has some white underneath its orange and black beak, and this beautiful background with red berries. A robin and about 24 of its friends were eating crab apples. I took this picture 2 years ago, just after the first snowfall of the season, in late October in south central Nebraska. Conda Allen, Grand Island, Nebraska. Says support robins in the fall and winter by serving unsweetened raisins or fresh berries. Here we have a small bird. Kind of looks like a finch. Very small, brownish beak, and its plumage is striped between kind of a cream color and brown. The wings are cream and brown with some yellow mixed in. The background is beautiful, this pinkish red color. It's standing on a branch. An interruption of pine siskins came to our yard and feeders. I captured a photo of one of the siskins perched on a branch, with our neighbor's sugar maple tree providing some pretty fall colors far off in the background. This is by Andy Robb, Elgin, Illinois. Oh, look at this. I saw a group of wood ducks feeding in a forest pond. They were taking turns flying off and exercising their wings, showing off their deep, rich colors. I took this photo with a Canon 1D Mark IV and 300mm lens. Douglas Beale, Camp Sherman, Oregon. So we have a beautiful wood duck. Its head is iridescent green and purple around its cheek and back. Red circled eyes. Its beak is orange, fading into white. It has a white chin strap underneath and a white mark across its throat. And then down like the back of the hood. And then white lining the edge of its wings. Underneath is white and black striped. And you have this beautiful goldish colored feathering underneath the wing. A white belly, and a grayish iridescent rear and tail. And this one is walking on water as it's getting ready to lift off. And its reflection is here as well. It's a neat picture. Here we have, looks like a wild turkey. Brownish coloring with some striped feathers towards its tail. It's standing on a stone wall with some pretty fall foliage behind it. I took this picture in the fall at Shenandoah National Park in Virginia. As I was driving through the park, I noticed Miss Turkey running toward me down a stone wall. It was such an amazing moment. Fall in Ohio is such a lovely time of year. The vegetation begins to change. Birds are migrating south and the heat has subsided. When I reflect on the season, I think of this magnolia warbler photo that I took by Chippewa Lake in Ohio. Debbie Parker, Medina, Ohio. There's the little warbler. firsthand with the Peterson Field Guide to Mushrooms of North America. We have the National Audubon Society Trees of North America, with more than 540 species highlighted in National Audubon Society Trees of North America. You'll easily figure out which ones you're seeing on your next hike. We have another Peterson Field Guide to North American Bird Nests. Get up close with fascinating nests in the Peterson Field Guide to North American Bird Nests. Learn about different species, preferred habitats, and breeding behaviors. Then here we have wildflowers. Check out descriptions of leaves, stalks, and blooms in the National Wildlife Federation Field Guide to Wildflowers of North America. It offers range maps and seasonal info for hundreds of flowers. Then we have this birding guide. The pictorial table of contents in the Kaufman Field Guide to Birds of North America makes pinpointing birds on your life list a cinch. Advertisements. Oh, look at this great picture. Wise up on owls. Watch out. Owls aren't always apex predators. In fact, the top predator of the barred owl is the great horned owl. We have 19 spectacular species boast a toolbox of specialized traits and live in an array of environments, from thick woodlands to chilly tundra plains in the United States and Canada. Here are some of the most fascinating facts about this one-of-a-kind group of birds by Rachel Madel. So we have this close-up, the dark black eyes of the owl, yellow beak, brown and cream colored, feathers on top, mostly cream and light brown feathers around the eyes. It's pretty neat. Oh, look at this beautiful little northern pygmy owl. Its head is cinnamon or rust colored with speckles of cream, and it almost looks like it has a hooded cape on. It goes over the head, under the chin, and down the back. And then the belly feathers are cream and dark brown, has a yellow beak and orange eyes, and yellow feet. It looks like it's standing on maybe a red dogwood shrub. Some owls are actually early birds, rising to hunt initially at dawn and again at dusk. Great gray and northern pygmy owls remain active during the day when their preferred prey, small mammals and birds, are most prevalent. Here we have the feet of a great horned owl. Look at those talons, man. Owls have surprisingly versatile feet. They're zygodactyl, which means they have two pairs of toes that face different directions. Even more impressive, one of the toes can swivel back and forward to help them perch or catch their prey. To make up for their static eyes, owls are able to rotate their heads 200 170 degrees. They have twice as many vertebrae in their neck as humans do, along with special circulatory adaptations to allow blood flow to the head when it's fully turned. You see them cock their heads around. Crazy. This is a short-eared owl, and its plumage is all almost like dark brown and golden yellow and white stripes all over its feathers. It has a little bit of a mask and an X around between the eyes is white, yellow eyes, and black beak. Prominent yellow or dark eyes may seem round and nearly human-like, but owls' eyeballs are actually tube-shaped and cannot move in the socket. Weird. They also have 3 different eyelids to keep those peepers healthy and clean. So this one has yellow eyes, an orange beak. Oh, look at this. It's pretty stunning. You have this green background. I have a tree trunk with some branching. Looks like you actually have some air plants attached to the tree. And here we have eastern screech owls. One is, camouflaged to look exactly like the bark. Even the little different cracks in what the bark is what their feathers look like. That's fascinating. White and dark brown. They have green eyes and kind of a greenish yellow beak. And then the other one is cinnamon or copper colored with white or cream colored feathers. Green eyes and the same greenish yellow beak. Adult owls come in many colors. Even within a single species, they can be pale or dark or possibly sport different hues. It's most obvious in eastern screech owls, which have either gray or red feathers or a brown coloring within that wide spectrum. It's kind of like squirrels. You can have gray or black or red of the same type of squirrel. Oh, look at this one. It looks like a tiny little owl. Northern saw-whet owl. Its head is white above the nose and eyebrow area. Yellow eyes, dark beak. It's kind of a sun ray effect of feathers around its eyes. And then you have this brownish feathering on the back with some white accents. And then the legs are covered in feathers that are kind of cream colored. Female owls tend to be larger than males in both wingspan and weight, although researchers are unsure why that's the case. And then here we have an Athenian coin with an owl, the large eyes on the front and feathers around it, perched on a wall. Some leaves, and then the AOE stamped on the coin. These beloved birds have played a part in many cultures, including that of the ancient Greeks. Athena, the goddess of wisdom and strategy, is often depicted with an owl. Today, Mr. Owl uses those smarts to discover how many licks it takes to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop. And many of you may not remember those commercials, but I do. And Woodsy Owl offers the sage advice to never be a dirty bird and give a hoot, don't pollute. Yep, that was definitely from the 80s. 80s, 90s. When an owl feels cornered or protective over its nest, the bird may make hissing noises, fluff its facial feathers, raise its wings, and fan out its tail feathers. This is a great gray owl in defensive posture. Wow. Yep, its hackles are up, as you'd say with a dog. And it has yellow eyes, a yellow beak, dark and light-colored, alternating and striped feathers. Now this guy looks like he couldn't give a hoot. He's like, yeah, whatever. The great horned has the soft, deep call many people associate with owls, but not every member of the family musters a traditional hoot. Northern saw-wheats, which was this one, for example, are named after their unusual call, which sounds like the process of sharpening a saw on a whetstone. Well, that's a skill that not many people have anymore. So this great horned is its tufts that you get the horned look from. Comes down into a V with the feathers, accentuating that. Then round, cream-colored feathers around the eyes, the eyelids, yellow eyes, and a black beak. And then the rest is striped in bars of brown and cream color. Looks like it's on a type of birch tree. Here we have a snowy owl. That's beautiful, isn't it? That's white feathers with dark brown accents on the ends and on the cap of its head. White all around its face and down along its legs, the underside of the wings, black beak and orangish eyes against a brown and white snow-covered background. This one is actually banded as a band on its leg, so scientists are probably tracking it. Relative to the size of their bodies, owls have incredibly large wings that allow them to glide both slowly and silently. The structure of the feathers also diffuses some of the noise that flapping creates. Oh, here's a cute photo of a family of birds. We have burrowing owls. Their bellies are dirty, cream-colored, and then their heads are brown with some masking of white over and under the eyes. Kind of a gray-colored beak with light yellow eyes. The rest of their feathers on their back and wings are brown and cream. Forget the treetops. Burrowing owls live in underground dens in grasslands and deserts. They group together in colonies, residing in burrows left behind by animals such as prairie dogs, tortoises, and skunks. We have to pinpoint the location of prey. Many owls have asymmetric ears, usually with one ear positioned higher or lower on its head, hidden underneath layers of feathers. The two large feather tufts that long-eared owls sport at the top of their heads have nothing to do with their hearing. Scientists believe they help the bird blend into its surrounding. So here we have the long-eared owl, the large tufts on top that are kind of a tan and dark brown stripe on the front. Then their face is tan. Then they have feathers that form in a V around its beak. And then orange eyes. The rest is tan and cream and dark brown striped belly, and the wings are more brown. stripes on the tail feathers. We have another owl over here. The allure of alliums. From flowers to foliage, they're easy to grow and love, by Deb Wiley. So these are giant alliums. They have those single stalks and then these bursts of bloom at the top in round globes. So pretty. Here we have examples of different ones. We have the Star of Persia. The petals are in star form and a green center. Millennium is in the globe shape. We have hair, has a kind of a tiny globe in the middle, and then all these straggly green hairs. It's kind of a cream-colored flower. Number 4 is tumbleweed. They have these long stems to get to the flowers off the head. It's interesting. There's a hand behind it. This one is moly. It's yellow and it looks more like a traditional open-headed flower. And here's 6 is Ivory Queen, kind of that globe shape with ivory-colored petals. 7 is Purple Sensation, again the large globes of purple. 8 is a drumstick, and these look more like thistle heads. That's interesting. 9 is the Gladiator, another globe of purple. And then 10 is the blue allium. It's got a little orange butterfly there. That's pretty, isn't it? Don't see blue very often. Up here it says buyer beware. Gardeners in parts of Idaho and Oregon cannot buy alliums grown outside of their quarantined regions because of a need to prevent a fungal onion disease known as white rot. The disease threatens the region's extensive commercial onion crop because it can live in the soil for up to 30 years. Only seeds and locally produced bulbs can be grown in those areas. That's the stuff you often don't think about, but it's always good to look at. And if you can't find a certain item in your area, it may be because it's invasive or it's been quarantined and they can't sell it. Here we have the birds that were in the front. Mistaken. Identities. Some birds are incredibly distinct with one-of-a-kind features. Nothing else looks like them, but for some species, a related bird is so similar that it forces us to take a second look. Use these helpful tips to separate some commonly confused birds. By Ken and Kimberly Kaufman. I was going to say this I recognize as a cedar waxwing. It's quite beautiful, isn't it? And it always looks so smooth, like it's been painted. We have a rusty-colored tufts, this black mask around its eye, black beak, rusty brown fading to tan on the chest and back, brown on the top of the wings, then blue and white and red underneath the edges. is yellow, white underneath the tail feathers, blue on top, and then yellow tips the tail feathers. However, over here are Bohemian waxwings, the same type of family, little bit different. Their head doesn't have that plume of feathers here, a crest, and they do have the black around the eyes, a little bit of rust, but mostly brown. White belly is the same, but instead of fading to blue on their wings, it's mostly brown. And then black and yellow and white stripes, the touch of red. And then the tail is gray with yellow tips. Still a beautiful bird. And here we have, I'm familiar with the downy woodpecker, which is a small woodpecker. It's not big compared to a lot of the others, but they're very prolific where I'm from. White belly, black and white striped wing. Then their head is black and white striped as well. A little bit of white above the eye and below, and then black along the eye. The black beak, and it is, like I said, quite small. And this one looks like its doppelganger over here, only much bigger. This is the hairy woodpecker. Same color scheme on its body, but just bigger. Let's see over here, we have the ruby crowned kinglet, and it looks like a smaller bird. It's kind of a greenish yellow, gray color, and then it has this red crest on the top of its head, black beak, black eyes. The underbelly is lighter colored. The wings have some white stripes and then yellow towards the ends, along with the tail is yellow and fades into a darker gray. And down here we have the golden crowned kinglet, kind of the same type of coloring, but around the face is much lighter and the belly as well. The head has black, and then in the middle this fiery orange and yellow stripe down its head. Very pretty. The wings are still kind of that greenish gray, yellow colors down to the tail. Here we have some sparrows. They always look very similar with different markings. This one is a chipping sparrow with a copper-colored cap, and then the grayish face and belly, and then the brown and dark brown feathers that are striped on the back. So here we have the American tree sparrow. This one is much lighter colored, I think. There's a little bit of a stripe of copper at the top, and then a little bit from the back of the eye. Almost looks like a key shape. It goes around the eye a little bit, back down, and then two little impressions of copper there. A little bit under its eye, and then the bottom of its beak. And then the top of the beak is black. Whitish underbelly, and then wings are copper and brown and cream colored stripes. Over here we have some swallows. I'm very familiar with this beautiful bird. Barn swallows are gorgeous. Their coloring is so pretty. The back squirrel in a beautiful feeder that looks like stained glass, different shapes and colors. That's pretty. We have some Ask the Professional questions here. Oh, here we have a ruby-throated hummingbird with its beautiful green feathers on the back and wings, its long, dark beak. Oh my goodness, here we go. Here's a pileated woodpecker on the back. That's stunning, isn't it? I have seen these, and actually I have a good story. This red crest on its head. I was walking in the woods and I heard a loud pecking inside of a hollow tree. And so I kind of crept up towards it slowly. And it was loud because it was in the middle of the hollow of the tree, and so you could hear it pecking it. And all of a sudden it startled me. Its head popped out and it saw me and it got startled and it flew off, and it is quite large bird. So I didn't get a picture of it because I wasn't actually prepared to see it pop its head out. Nature Always Wears the Colors of the Spirit by Ralph Waldo Emerson. Pretty neat bird. Alright, well, I hope you enjoyed looking through this Birds and Blooms extra. I do have some other Birds and Blooms magazines from several years ago that are pretty fun to look through. So maybe we'll do this one again. Well, a different one. Happy Thanksgiving to those who celebrate it in this part of America. And I hope you're taking care of yourself, especially during the holidays, because family, am I right? Anyway, take care of yourselves, and as always,